New York Attorney General Letitia James is urging an appeals court to ignore Donald Trump's claim that securing a bond is a practical impossibility. His lawyer said Trump is facing insurmountable difficulties in obtaining a bond to guarantee he can pay if he loses his appeal of a nearly $500 million civil fraud judgment. They said more than 30 insurance companies turned him down, and they asked for court permission to post a smaller bond, or none at all. There's a critical deadline. If Trump fails to secure some kind of financial guarantee by Monday, James can begin to drain his bank accounts and seize his real estate.
Is Letitia James going to go, like, put a chain on Trump Tower?
I can't wait to see the chains on Trump Tower, actually, on Fifth Avenue.
Today it came out that Letitia James is starting to move on possibly seizing property owned by Trump in Westchester County. I would put to you that the reason she's going to Westchester County is because she tries to take over Trump Tower, seize assets of the president in Manhattan. She's going to run into a big problem. This is an iconic property, Trump Tower. If that is where she goes, if she actually has police try and, I mean, the whole thing is so crazy, Sean and Dagan, I just can't even get my arms around it. There is no victim here. There's nobody who lost money here. This isn't Bernie Madoff, who built billions out of his customers. Nobody was hurt by this. So now there's talk of the 8th Amendment, which basically prohibits excessive fines. That actually was employed in a case in 1998. I think it's actually a legitimate issue that this is such an outrageous $500 million fine for what? No, and
just
listen, by the way, in terms of New Yorkers, everybody I know looks at this and says this is ridiculous.
And this Letitia James person, you know what she wants to do?
The bond situation?
But do you know what she wants?
She wants to seize his assets.
She wants to seize his assets.
Yeah.
She wants to yellow tape, red tape around the buildings and saying, hey, these assets have been seized by they want to seize, they want that visual because he can't post bond for 464 right now in a New York civil case. The dark strategy of cornering him with things like this, with a specific amount of money, so nasty the next 6 months. It's going to be so nasty the next 6, 7, 8 months on what they're going to do. But all of this stuff comes together. They fear this guy being in the White House. I don't know why. They fear this guy being in the White House.
And if you dig into the ruling, what is so evil about it is to make it impossible for him to even appeal, right? Because he has to come up with the cash to be able to appeal, almost $500 million to even be able to appeal. Only a handful of bond companies are approved by Treasury to issue and to underwrite a bond this large. And at max, they'll do like a single $100 million a bond. But the judge knows that the task that he has put in front of Trump, this ruling, is impossible to meet.
Absolutely nothing to do with Donald Trump at this point, in my view. And everybody's waiting for one thing we haven't got yet: adult supervision. Where is it? Where are the adults in this crazy narrative? Certainly there's got to be adult supervision at some point.
Point about adults in the room, which brings us back to the 8th Amendment. Are the adults in the room ultimately going to be the Supreme Court? So that's the question of where this could potentially head. We are looking at Monday. The $1 million question is a $500 million question as they dig into that. And we'll see if they actually do end up going after any of the properties. And as you mentioned, if it's one property and a fire sale, and then they sort of start to make their own argument where they're saying the properties were never valued the way they should have been. Look, we just did this sale. Look what we got. And in reality, it's a fire sale instead of a fair market. But we'll see what ultimately happens.
The left has a new talking point. Trump doesn't have the $464 million on hand. So now he's a walking national security threat.
Nobody wants to lend him the money in this country anyway. Who knows what's going to happen with Russia and Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia and Russia for a reason. Yeah. They have motivation to give him the money because then they will own him. And China. They almost own him now.
Again, Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, we have evidence that they were getting money from Russia and China.
Mr. Bobolinsky, who's the big guy?
Joe Biden.
You sure?
I'm 1,000% sure. And there's other text messages that back that up.
You witnessed the president commit a crime. Is it your testimony today?
Yes.
And what crime do you have you witnessed?
How much time do I have to go through it?
It is
corruption statutes, RICO and conspiracy.
What is it? What is the crime, sir?
You
specifically.
You asked me to answer the question. I answered the question.
No.
RICO, you're obviously not familiar with. Corruption statutes.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. RICO is not a crime. It is a category. What is the
It's a category of crimes that you're then charged
You
under
have charges.
a long 100
You
list
have
of
charges. Sir, please
Want me to name the exact statute under RICO?
Yes.
Now, some of the charges involving Mr. Trump down in Georgia are RICO related. I'm sure you saw this exchange yesterday. Is RICO not a crime?
It's absolutely a crime. 18 U.S.C. 1961 through 68. She might try bothering to read it. Comment by AOC just added to the growing list of stupefying remarks by her. You know, this is a pattern with AOC. Whenever she opens her mouth, she tends to embarrass herself with a fundamental lack of knowledge.
But there was a Bloomberg article, we showed the headline. There was an opinion piece saying that his financial challenges make him a national security threat, talking about his compromised narrative is left over from the Russia collusion lies that they've been peddling. They still cannot let go of it.
No. Well, you still hear people like Schiff and others use it in the House of Congress, appealing not to justice, but what they're appealing to is the MSNBC audience, the voters for Biden who are going to vote for him no matter what because they hate Trump so much.